Welcome to New York's #2 sports show. The Yankees sweep the Texas Rangers at Yankee Stadium to improve to 30-19. They've now won 5 straight series. So the month of May is treating the Yankees really well. They sit right now 5 games as I'm recording this in front of the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're playing some better ball lately, but that's a pretty healthy lead, considering where they are in the season. But Yankees got really, really good pitching. The starters, specifically Will Warren, who's just been unbelievable lately, had a great outing in game 1. Ryan Yarbrough, who slid into the rotation, and he did a really good job in game 2. And then Carlos Rodón, who really at this point I would say has probably been his best stretch as a Yankee at this point in terms of just confidence. And, as a fan, seeing him go out there and he's just getting the job done in a big time way. So that's been there. And then the Yankees are just finding ways. Look, Texas has good pitching, and Texas is a team that when all is said and done, their offense is definitely problematic, but there are solid resumes, like players that you would think that will maybe improve as the year goes on. Right now, they don't have Corey Seager; he's been out with injury, so I do think that this Texas team, could certainly be one that makes the playoffs. Um, time will tell, but it's just hard not to feel good about where this team is right now. The Yankees, that is. And, reaching that 30-win mark, less than 50 games into the season. So that's the thing too, is there is so much time to go, but when you can just stack up win series, it goes a long, long way. And to throw a sweep in there, it's the Yankees' I've talked about it. It's the Yankees' third sweep of the season, all at home. One versus Milwaukee, which was the opening series. Then they had one against Kansas City, and now Texas. But they have not been swept all year. And Yankee Stadium has been a pretty good home field advantage for them. And so I think that if the Yankees can track down Detroit, and track down is probably not the right word. They're only like maybe 3 games or so behind the Tigers, but that's also looking a little bit too far ahead. But they're in a decent spot right now in the American League. That's what I'll say. So, as far as I like to do just updates as far as transactions and injuries and things like that, Fernando Cruz was actually placed on the injured list with right shoulder inflammation. So I think that this is something that he felt right around or after that last Met outing, which he didn't do particularly well in that game 2 against the Mets, where he picked up the loss in the 9th inning. Because it was curious as to why, there were certain situations in this series where, okay, why is Fernando Cruz not in? Like, they were using pitchers where you wouldn't normally think. And then it came out after game 2 that Cruz was dealing with this issue and then officially placed on the injured list. 15-day IL. They're hoping it's the minimum stint. Like, they're hoping it's not long term. So remains to be seen, but there isn't a whole lot of concern now. And lefty Brent Hedrick is placed on the roster. Now, you'll remember him from someone who actually made the team and actually looked pretty good. So Hedrick, I think, is another quality arm added to the mix. In essence, he kind of takes over like the Tyler Matzik lefty spot in a way. And with Ryan Yarbrough in the rotation, the only lefty that they had was Tim Hill. So to me, Hedrick, it makes sense for him to take that spot. But losing Cruz for now, that's not insignificant. But at the same time, I think that they have the coverage, especially with Loaizaga back. There's certainly enough arms that they can make it work. But let's just, go into it. And I will update that possibly that, AL East lead could increase, because as I'm recording this right now, the Padres have appeared to have tied the game up in the 9th. So the Blue Jays still might win, but the Blue Jays had a lead, and now it looks like the Padres tied it up at 4. So if the Blue Jays do lose, then that would mean that the Yankee lead, the American League, would actually go to 6. So it's going to be 5 or 6, depending on that result. Maybe by the end of the episode, we'll have an outcome. So game 1. And, you're coming off of sort of the chaos that was the Subway Series. So I felt as if, and look, you did have a day off in between, which I kind of think was a good thing. You didn't go straight in. But Also, it would have been understandable if, again, with Juan Soto coming in and the success that the Yankees did had, if maybe they kind of took their foot off the gas a little bit, but they didn't. And that's what's encouraging. It was business as usual. And let's be honest, a lot of it has to do with the starting pitcher. And Will Warren, it's exciting what he's doing. This was his line. So he wins to improve to 3-2, 5 2/3 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 10 strikeouts. ERA down to 4.05. Again, the 10 strikeouts is great. We know that he has that ability. If he can be someone that is in there, so in sort of the back end of the rotation, that would be amazing. I mean, that's the crazy thing is you don't have Garrett Cole, you don't have Luis Heel, and yet this rotation still is now an asset. Now, at the time when there was Carrasco struggling and Warren was not good. It wasn't on, and Clark Schmidt actually was out as well to start the season. It was really a problem. Now I feel like it's on the positive side. It's a strength right now. That could change, but Warren was absolutely fantastic in this game. And the Yankees faced Patrick Corbin, who has been better as a Texas Ranger. It was really becoming bad with Washington. He's been a little bit better. He's been more serviceable, but he does pick up the loss to drop to 3-3. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, and 3 strikeouts for Patrick Corbin. For the Yankees, it would be Jasson Domínguez on the bench. He was the odd man out. And, that would mean that they would go with Ben Rice at DH. Ben Rice sat a couple of times in the Mets series. He actually also sat in game 3 of this series. So, like Rice, I don't know. Again, it's a bit of a rotation to me, but it's a very competitive one because I'm just going to, right off the jump, Ben Rice in game 1, he was really the offensive catalyst more than anyone. I mean, Aaron Judge had a good game 1 as well, but Ben Rice, he homers, he gets a sac fly, like he was crushing the ball, and against the lefty Patrick Corbin, and Rice had a struggles against lefty, so that was really good. You had Goldschmidt batting leadoff. Um, Austin Wells has been dropping down in the lineup, especially against lefties. He batted eighth. He's had his struggles, and his batting average actually now down to 200 flat. So that's a bit of, and he's been striking out a decent amount too, it feels like. But anyway, Ben Rice, who, now here's the thing, Ben Rice, this was obviously versus a lefty, so that is reason why Ben Rice is batting sixth. But we've seen him more at the top of the order. But batting sixth, Ben Rice is his 10th homer of the year. Corbin hung it, Rice knew it, and he crushed it to give the Yanks a 1-0 lead. And then in the fourth, um, the Yankees would score again, and it would be a Judge single, Steele second, Cody Bellinger single. And by the way, Cody Bellinger, he extended his hitting streak to a career high 15 games. However, game 3 didn't get a hit, so the hitting streak is over. He tried for 16, didn't get it, so unfortunately that's over with. But at this time, he extended it. And then after a Volpe pop out, and that wasn't great with first, third, no out, Ben Rice sac fly. And it was a great catch by Sam Haggerty. It could have been more than that, but that makes it 2-0. Then in the sixth, Warren gets a little bit of trouble. He really didn't even do that poorly. He walked Wyatt Langford, which wasn't great, but then there was a couple of fortunate hits by Josh Young and Adolis Garcia. But Warren ends his day with a big strikeout of Marcus Semien. Strikes him out looking. So at this point, Mark Leiter Jr. comes on. And so it's a 2-0 game at this point. Like, theoretically, Warren could have gotten the loss. Let's say it's a Jock Peterson is the one that's up against Mark Leiter Jr. And this was a pivotal moment, one of the biggest moments in this game. And Mark Leiter Jr. in this series came up pretty big in game 1 and game 3, but especially game 1, bases loaded. He strikes out Jock Peterson. That was huge. So it kind of preserves the win for Warren, keeps it at 2-0. And then the Yankees had one more run in the sixth. And at this point, it would be Patrick Corbin that would leave the game. Bruce Bochy was actually also ejected by home plate umpire Carlos Torres. But a nice 2-out RBI double for Anthony Volpe. It was one that kind of dunked in front of Sam Haggerty. But it looked like the reliever Jacob Webb was going to get out of a jam that Patrick Corbin kind of started, but Volpe is able to at least make it 3-0 there. Leiter with a scoreless 1-2-3 seventh inning, which was great. So 4 outs from Leiter Jr. to get his 6th hold of the season. And then Devin Williams pitches the 8th. and he's been much better lately. There was a double by Wyatt Langford in the middle of it, and a wild pitch as well, but a couple of strikeouts. So Devin Williams, who really is at this point almost the definite eighth inning guy, that's just the way it's been. Williams in the eighth, Weaver in the ninth. So Williams picks up his fourth hold, and that keeps it at 3-0. And then Aaron Judge. And it's funny because Aaron Judge actually does leave the series under 400. It wasn't one of Judge's better series, but he's always got to do something. And game one was that, where Judge does hit a 2-run homer. It was the shortest home run of his career, actually, to right field. And it made it 5-0 Yanks. So that was insurance that was kind of needed because Ian Hamilton, who I thought was maybe turning a corner, absolutely not. Ian Hamilton did not have a good series in games 1 or 2. A walk to Jock Peterson, 1 out, and then the shutout is over. The Yankees almost had 2 shutouts, games 1 and 3, but Ian Hamilton, 1 out away from doing it, doesn't do it. Jonah Heim, 2-run shot, his 6th homer of the year, makes it 5-2. And then he allows a triple to Sam Haggerty. So he had a chance to at least still end the game, but then Luke Weaver had to come in. And Luke Weaver ends up pitching all 3 games this series. The first Yankee reliever to pitch 3 straight games. Or I should term it differently. 3 straight days since I believe it was Aroldis Chapman in 2021. So a bad job by Hamilton, but Luke Weaver does the job. It's a save situation at that point, and he gets Josh Smith to pop out. So Weaver picks up his 6th save of the season. Again, Hamilton not good. It didn't really cost them, like in my opinion, De Los Santos doing what he did in that first Met game with Weaver coming in. To me, that man cost the Yankees game too. This it didn't, although I suppose if the Yankees lose game 1 against Colorado, where Luke Weaver could have pitched, then maybe it still does. But gonna let that go. But anyway, game 2. Game 2 was a gritty comeback by the Yankees, and one that on paper, it didn't look likely that they would win. It was Jacob deGrom against Ryan Yarbrough, and Ryan Yarbrough has really, really been a good piece in that rotation now. 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, no walks, and 8 strikeouts for Ryan Yarbrough, like 8 Ks. That is good stuff from someone that you wouldn't expect him to get strikeouts. He's a soft throwing lefty that, he'll max out maybe at 90. Like, he's more of a high 80s fastball guy, mixes and matches, but did a really good job. And then Jacob deGrom for Texas, he was really good. Kind of looking like vintage Mets deGrom. 7 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts, but ends up with a no decision. And for this one, the odd man out of the lineup was Paul Goldschmidt. And as I've said, against righties, there's going to be situations when Goldschmidt doesn't play. But again, he's a great weapon to have off the bench. And he was. He picks up a really key walk as a pinch hitter in the 8th inning that helped the Yankees tie the game. But it would be Peraza was kind of the odd guy out in the whole LeMahieu, Bibas, Peraza thing, the second base, third base thing. Like, against lefties, the reason why I didn't even bring it up in the first game is against lefties, it's going to be LeMahieu and Peraza, no doubt. But against righties, Bibas will be in, and it's kind of between LeMahieu and Peraza as to who will play. And I guess right now it feels as if LeMahieu has the slight leg up on Peraza in that sort of platoon situation. So the Yankees yet again take the lead, and it would be an Anthony Volpe triple to start the second. A diving Sam Haggerty in center field could not get it. Then after an almost strikeout looking, which was not good, LeMahieu makes contact. It really wasn't a great job by LeMahieu, but he gets it past deGrom, and Volpe's running, so Simeon just gets the out at first. So they're able to scrape out that run right there to make it 1-0, and the score will remain that way until Jake Berger hits his 5th homer of the year off of Yarbrough in the 5th. He was kind of running out of gas, but Yarbrough gets you through 5. I mean, you're taking 5 innings, 1 run from Yarbrough every single time. Also want to mention Kyle Higashioka makes his return to Yankee Stadium. He DH'd in game 2, caught in game 3, didn't really do much of anything of note, but they did give him a nice little tribute video, I think, in game 1 when he was on the bench. So Higgy, really a long-standing Yankee in terms of just being in the organization, drafted, and was on the team for quite some time. So that was nice. And then Jonathan Loaiza comes in the 6th. And Loaiza, I've been impressed by what I've seen in terms of just the eye test and what it looks. But in each outing, even though he hasn't allowed around or in any outing, he's gotten into trouble in each one. And this one, he wasn't able to quite finish the inning. And it would be a two-out rally. He kind of got fucked by the ump on an Adolis Garcia walk, which should have been strike three. But then he hits Marcus Simeon, so it ends up being a bases loaded to a situation for and Tucker Barnhart, who came in to replace Jonah Heim. Heim, um, left the game due to injury. He was all right. Heim played game three, but Tim Hill, the lefty, comes on to face Tucker Barnhart, and to me, that's the perfect situation for Tim Hill. And he gets the ground outs to keep the 1-0 lead. However, what was frustrating, and I didn't realize it at the time, I didn't realize that Fernando Cruz was unavailable. And I think they, honestly, I think they were trying to stay away from Devin Williams as well. That's the thing too. But Tim Hill starts up the inning against Jake Berger, and Berger homers off him. Like, I I don't know. I'm not saying that the alternatives were great because they weren't. They really weren't. But that is unfortunate. The Yankees were playing with fire in this game as far as the relievers they were using, but they somehow came out with the win. I don't want to say they weren't putting. I don't want to say they weren't putting their best foot forward to win this game, but some of the decisions were very questionable, regardless of who was or who wasn't available. But Berger gets that home run off of Tim Hill. Again, I like Hill as someone who comes in to finish an inning against lefty, not someone who's starting an inning versus a righty. And that makes it 2-1 right there. So Berger's second homer of the night. Then Ian Hamilton comes in after Hill got a couple of outs, and Hamilton gives up a homer to Haggerty. Sam Haggerty's first homer of the year after Haggerty hit a triple off Hamilton the night before. So Ian Hamilton, not good. His ERA is 6.14. He still does have strikeout stuff. I'm not giving up on Ian Hamilton, but he is clearly very low on this pecking order right now. He's to me right in that Yuri De Los Santos, I guess Brent Hedrick. Like Hamilton is low on there. Now, obviously, with the Cruz injury, it does kind of bump Hamilton up a little bit, but he has really been as bad as I can think I remember him being since he's been on the Yankees. So it's a 3-1 Texas lead, but Cody Bellinger, who again, in this game, he extended his hit streak to 15. Bellinger homers off of DeGrom. This was a very big homer to get the Yankees right back in, right? Cut that lead right back to 1, so it makes it 3-2. Yuri De Los Santos pitches a scoreless eighth inning, got into some trouble. He did, but he ends up getting out of it. And it ended up actually being a bases loaded two-out situation where Josh Smith grounded out. Josh Smith had some key at-bats, the former Yankee prospect who was involved in the Joey Gallo deal, but did not come through, and this was one of them. And then the bottom of the eighth, the Yankees tied up. Robert Garcia, the lefty, comes on for DeGrom. And with 1 out, Goldschmidt pinch hits for Vivas and walks. Big walk by Goldschmidt. Perfect scenario to bring him in, and then Grisham walks. First and second 1 out, and then Ben Rice flies out. So now Luke Jackson, the righty, comes on for the 4-out save, and he faces Aaron Judge. And you would have thought that he would have pitched somewhat careful to him, but it's tough because you have a hot Cody Bellinger on deck who's a lefty. So you kind of are in a situation where you kind of are going after Judge, and Aaron Judge gets it done. So even though Aaron Judge, like, again, it was going to be tough for him to maintain 400. It just is. Like, even though Aaron Judge's numbers were not gaudy this series, they were still pretty damn good. And he homered in game 1 and gets a game-tying RBI single in game 2, which scores Goldschmidt, and then Grisham was out at third. Not great base running by Trent there. And he's, again, in his 2 years with the Yankees, he's not a great base runner. But it ties it up at 3. And then in the 9th inning, what makes no sense to me is Yuri De Los Santos starts the 9th and gives up a single to Sam Haggerty. Thank God that wasn't a homer. Then Luke Weaver comes in. So Luke Weaver was warming up. I don't really know. I guess they were thin on bullpen and just trying to play it very, very, they were playing with fire. But luckily they decide, okay, De Los Santos gets the single, we go to Weaver, and Weaver ends up getting the 3 outs. And in bad base running as well by Haggerty, where he gets caught stealing, where Weaver throws him out at second. LeMahieu makes the tag, and he's out. And then the Yankees, with 1 out, it would be in the 9th inning, off of Luke Jackson, Jasson Domínguez gets a walk-off home run, his 6th homer of the year. It's the Yankees' first walk-off home run since 2022. Giancarlo Stanton's grand slam against the Pirates in September, at the same inning that Aaron Judge hit his 60th home run. So that was a very memorable one. The Yankees had not had a walk-off home run in basically almost 2.5 seasons. Pretty fucking crazy. So Dominguez is the hero. He's been really, really good as a lefty, and a cool moment, and a win that you can feel good about. Coming back against DeGrom, down 3-1. They chip away, score one in the seventh, one in the eighth, one in the ninth, and they get the series win at that point. But let's get a little bit greedy. Let's go for the series win and sorry, for the sweep. And that's exactly what they do in what was a really good pitchers matchup. Carlos Rodon versus former Yankee Nate Eovaldi. And Nate Eovaldi has been really one of the best pitchers in baseball this season. He has become, ever since he left the Yankees, like really just one of the upper echelon pitchers in this league. But Rodon outduels him. And Rodon goes 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts, improves to 6-3 with a 2.88 ERA. Carlos Rodon's putting up all-star game numbers like he just is, right? Max Fried is the frontline guy, but Carlos Rodon is not that far behind. He has been simply brilliant, and he gets the 6 innings of scoreless ball for the win. And Nate Eovaldi makes one mistake to Jorbit Vivas to get the loss. 4-3, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 run, one walk, and 6 strikeouts for Eovaldi. In this game, Ben Rice was on the bench. Wells sits out day game after night game. JC Ascara would be behind the plate. And this would be a game where they would go with Peraza and Bibas, not LeMahieu, although LeMahieu would get a pinch hit appearance in this one. But yeah, this not a whole lot of action this game. And it was kind of, somehow the weather didn't impact the series too much, like as far as any delays or postponements. It looked bad for games 2 and 3, but it ended up being all right. But you didn't really get a full house crowd at Yankee Stadium in this really early 12:30 matinee start. But Bibas is the one, his first major league home run off of Eovaldi, and a big home run that gives the Yankees a 1-0 win. Like, talk about a time to get the home run after he had a big moment in the Mets series. So Yorby Bibas starting to kind of make an impact here. And again, like, I don't think he's someone that's going to be a big piece come the end of the season. But for now, while Jazz Chisholm Jr. is out, Bibas is doing what he can. And he's getting better and better. And it's a big home run off of Eovaldi, his first career major league home run to make it 1-0 Yanks. And then Rodon finishes out the sixth. It got a little bit dicey after he walked Wyatt Langford and he stole second. There was a wild pitch there, but Rodon finishes it out with a strikeout of Jake Berger. So really proud of Rodon and what he did. And then the seventh inning is where it was the toughest spot for the Yanks. Mark Leiter Jr. comes in and he allows a leadoff single to Simeon. There was a wild pitch right after that, but then he gets Heim to strike out, Garcia to ground out. Jock Peterson pinch hits for Higgy, and Peterson gets an infield single. Nice try by Peraza to get him out at first. He couldn't do it, and smart by Goldschmidt to get off the bag. And, because if it goes by him, then Simeon's going to score. Then Josh Smith pinch hits for Ezekiel Duran. Ironically, both players that were involved in the Joey Gallo deal. There was a Jock Peterson steal in the mix as well, but Leiter Jr. bears down and strikes out Josh Smith. Really good job. As Leiter Jr., he's a key part of this pen, especially with no Fernando Cruz. Like, him and Loizaga are kind of like the ones right before Devin Williams and Luke Weaver. And I'd even say right now, probably more so Mark Leiter Jr., but he gets it done, keeps it 1-0. And then in the eighth, Devin Williams, a very simple, easy 1-2-3 inning for him. You like to see that. There was a strikeout as well with a couple of ground outs. And then Luke Weaver pitches 3 straight days. But here's the thing. He only threw 2 pitches in game 1, 6 pitches in game 2. And what does he do game 3? 1-2-3 inning, including a strikeout to end it to Jonah Heim. 7th save of the year for Luke Weaver. I should also mention 7th hold for Leiter Jr., 5th for Devin Williams. But Luke Weaver's ERA is now sitting at a pretty .4. So the Yankees get the sweep, improve to 30-19. And now let's preview the Yankees Rocky series. And the Colorado Rockies, who are playing as I'm recording this right now, they're down 1-0 to the Phillies. They're 8-41. They will either be 9-41 or 8-42 heading into the series. So look, Coors Field things get a little bit weird sometimes, right? So for me, it's a situation where looking for the sweep is just, you can't do that, but you can't lose the series. And look, can't is also not the right word because of where the Yankees are in the standings. The point is just optically, just take 2 or 3. A sweep would be great, and I think it's doable. It truly is with the way the Yankees are playing and Colorado's playing. But I think, look, I'm not going to complain with just taking the 2 out of 3, but don't lose the series. This is a very embarrassing team. The pitching matchups: Clark Schmidt, TDD for Colorado at the moment for game 1. Game 2 is going to be a battle of lefties, Max Fried and Kyle Freeland. Freeland has really bad numbers this year. And then the third one will be Will Warren against Antonio Sanzatella, who also has bad numbers. So look, it's there for the Yankees. It's the beginning of a 9-game road trip. They go from Colorado, and then they'll face Anaheim and the Dodgers. So they'll be out there for a while. It gets tougher and tougher, obviously. The Angels, they're not very good, but they haven't played better lately. I'll give them that. They've actually been winning ball games. So, um, look, to project this out, 9 games, 6-3 is a big ask, especially considering that the Dodgers are part of that. So for me, that 5-4, 6-3 range would be a nice place to go. So we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. But right now, things are, I would say, probably at a total high this season in terms of, like, obviously you had that initial sweep versus Milwaukee, but you know, at this point, things are really rolling well for this team. They're finding ways to win in different ways, and it's really been fun to watch. So the Yankees get their 30th win of the year, 30-19, win their 5th straight series after sweeping the Texas Rangers at Yankee Stadium. They will now head out west to start a 9-game road trip, and it will begin in Colorado against the Rockies.